everyone, Crystal here from LeetCode Mate. Today I am going to walk you through how I solve the popular problems to sums on LeetCode. I will share some tips and tricks to help you success in the coding interview, whether you are preparing for the technical interview or just sharpening your skill. This step will help you break down the complex problems and approach them with confidence. So let's dive right in. So the first step you need to do is to understand the problems and then asking the interviewers or yourself some clarified questions. So first of all, given an array of integer nums and an integer target, return indexes of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. You may assume that X input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. At this stage, I always ask myself a few clarified questions. For example, are the numbers sorted? Can the same numbers used twice? What happens if no two numbers add up to the target? So now we will find the answer for it. So first of all, are the numbers sorted? So let's see. So it seems like from the example here, the number is not sorted. So we have to be careful on that. And then can some numbers be using twice? So we already know that same element cannot be used twice. And then what happens if no two numbers is add up to the target? In here, assume that is exactly one solution. It is important to ask these questions to make sure that you are not missing any edge case. Usually, the problem statements or interviewers will clarify this for you. Now we kind of fully understand the problems, and then we can just identify the input and output. So the input here, we can see this is an array of nums, integer, and it also have the target is integer as well. And then for the output, so we return the indexes of the two numbers that is add up to the target. The next step is matching the problem with the data structures or the common pattern you already know. So at this point, I like to think about the common patterns or data structure that might help. In this case, the two-sum problems is about finding the pairs of numbers that met a certain conditions. So there's a few patterns that's coming to my mind now. One is the brute force solutions. Is kind of like just simple loop through x pair of number. So we will have two for loop and loop through all of it, and then checks whether their sums is equal to the target. Let you know, if we're using two for loop, then the time complexity of it will be big O of n squared. We want to avoid the big O of n squared as much as possible in the interview. If there is no other optimal solutions, then we can go for that solutions. So another pattern for these problems is using a hash map or the dictionary. So we can using the hash map to storing the complement of x number and then check if that complement exists if we iterate through the array. The hash map patterns is often the most efficient in terms of time complexity, so we will go with that solutions. So the next part is to plan out. So we know that we were using the data structures hash map. So to plan out, at first, we will try to go through the first input. So we have the nums is 2, 7, 11, 15. And then the target is 9. So right now we know that we're using map. So I just writing map here. We will have a for loop. And then we go through x number inside the num. At the first index, we have number 2. In here, we check whether there's 2 exist in the map or not. There's none in the map, so we know that we have to add the complement inside the map. So in here, we will have 9, the target, minus 2. So it is 7. So we will put 7 and then map it to index 0. That's why we have 7 and 0 here. And then as we'll move on, as we'll move to the next index. So the next index here, as we'll have the value is 7. So once we have the number 7 here, we will check whether if it's inside this map. And then we see that it is 7 inside map already. So we know that there is a pair already. We can just return. We will return the index inside the map. The value is index 0. and then the current index that's in right now. So that is index 1. Let's just comment this out so we can write the actual code here. In here, I am writing in Java, but I also have the code in Python or JavaScript that you can check it out in the description below. Okay, so first we will create a hash map. So create hash map. So integer, and then link with the integer as well. Then I will call it complement map. So new hash map here. Cool. Okay, now we initialize the hash map already. So next part, we know that we have to go through the nums array. So we will create a for loop in I, just for the simplest UI. So we loop it through the nums len, I++ here. So in here, we will calculate the complement. So complement equal to the, we have the target minus the nums at I. So now we know that we need to check for whether this complement is already exist in the hash map or not. And so in here, we will check whether the complement map includes the value at num index or not. So in here, we will have complement map dot contains key. Okay. Then in here, we will have to check num at I. Okay. So if it's already exists here, then we can just return new array. So in this new array, we know that we need to get the value in the map first, and then the current indexes we are in. So in here, we will have complement map dot get. So nums at I. Yeah. So after this if statement, we know that the num I is not inside the complement map yet. So we just have that added in. Complement map dot push. So in here, we will adding the complement here. And then the index of it is at I here. After on the for loop, if we don't have any solutions, I think we can just return the empty array. So return new int and then empty one. Oops. So this one is a whole code. It's based on what we planned out. So the next part is we need to test it out. In the interview settings, you don't have the IDE like this to test the result out. So you have to do it by hand. But do it by hand is pretty easy. You can just loop through X character in here and then make sure that everything's look good. We can just run it now. Okay, so we pass on 3 test case here. Let's submit it to make sure everything look good. Okay, so we have the accepted submissions. The last step is you have to analyze the time and space complexities. So for this one, the time complexities of this is O of n, since we iterate through the arrays once and look up for the hash map here is only O of 1. So overall is big O of n. And for the space complexities in here is also big O of n. This is because in worst case scenario, we store every element inside this hash map. So it will have like n elements. It also have big O of n as well. And that is how I approach solving the 2-sum problems, by breaking down the problem into steps, identify the patterns, and planning your solution. You can tackle most coding challenges with confidence. And for more tips and tricks and personalized coding recommendations, checking out my website here. I have the links above in the descriptions. So this one will help you tracking the problem that you already solved and then create your game plan for you and recommend you some questions that fit with your need. Now, after you finish your problems, you can just add in the problem here. And we just do 2-sum problems. So just write 2-sum here. And then time start and time stop. And in here, I did it like 30 minutes ago, so I just changing this one to be 6. Yeah, I think I did it like 30 minutes ago, so I just fill it out like time, and then it's like 45. So yeah, and then for category for these ones, we can choosing the hash table we already did. Yep, and then we do it in practice, and this is easy problems. And then the difficulties, you can choosing the difficulties based on what you have. You don't need to choosing according like me, but for me it's like 1 here. And you can also include some tip for yourself, like this one is pattern hash map. Yeah, and then after that you can add in the problem here, and then it will show you that congrats that you finish it. Now let's have in here, we will see this weekly summary. We have to 1 problem today, and totally practice time is 29 minutes. And then in here you can see your practice plan and hash table here. This will tell you how many days you should practice, so you can hit the practice. I should tell you the problem that you should do. Here you recommend you to do the Roma to integer. So this is easy problem as well, and frequency is 86%. And then you can just click here to view the problems, and then you can just start working. Let's preview some view here for you, and then you can just enter this time start and time end. And here, if you scroll down a little bit, this will have your practice analysis. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for more problem solving guide and interviews preparation tip. Good luck for your interviews, and I will see you in the next video.